Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I do have an interview with Grant or Von Neumann, co-founder slash art director of Illuvium. And this is one I've been waiting to have for a long time. Everyone in the community sort of just knows him as Von Neumann, and then he did the big reveal, so I've been hanging out to get him on and ask him some questions. We do just have we do go off on a few tangents in this one, so it's just a good old chat, but we do go deeper into some of like the overworld gameplay and stuff like that. So depending on who you are, if you don't want to go through all of it, I will leave timestamps in the description so you can bounce around and find the relevant things if you're only interested in a few things. I may chop up some of the information in videos in the coming week, just because there was a couple key things that we went into here that I just want to do some visual representations of and stuff like that. And also, before we got on, he did give me another tier 0 that we could leak, which I'll put on the screen now, and that is, it's spelled ATTIPO, Atipo. I didn't actually ask him how to say it, so that is that one, looking really, really slick for a support. And we've only got one more tier 0 to find out, and that is going to be the assassin. So we'll hang out and see. But massive shout out to Grant for coming on. I think he's been pretty crook of late. We had to postpone once, but I just really appreciate him taking the time. And I just love these interviews because we get to dig in a little bit deeper. They always go longer than you expect, but hopefully you guys do get some enjoyment. And like I said, as always, there is going to be timestamps in the description, so you can bounce around if you want to. We'll kick it off with just, I want to get the basic gist of your version of the origin story, how it all came together, who came with the idea and what happened there, and then also the whole Von Neumann thing, why that originated and how it happened. So welcome.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, hey man, finally. After how many months of pushing for leaks and updates, I felt a little bit bad that Zionic got in first, but I mean, at the end of the day, I can't believe you're actually on his live chat as well. I wasn't actually reading the live chat.
Yeah,
I didn't realize you were in there when I was talking about you, and then I looked back afterwards. I was like, he was there the whole time.
Yeah, definitely go, and I'll leave that linked in the description, guys. He's done an interview with Zionic as well. Dropped a lot of good carrots over about 3 hours. We won't be that long, but Zionic's a great dude.
Man, I'm gonna die on the call if we go for 2 hours.
Yeah, no, we won't go that far, but yeah, no, it was definitely good seeing you on there on Zionic, and I only lost 3 nights sleep to you going on him first, so that's all right, man.
Yeah, so in terms of the origin story, so as I think Kieran's pretty much told you this as well, and I'm not sure if we've told it so many times now that it's probably warped into something.
Yeah, it's more that they normally just speak about each other, and then it's like there's this like pseudo guy in the background. So it's like,
third anonymous person who just somehow seems to be doing most of the actual shit talking.
Yeah,
a lot of it was like Aaron and Kieran at the very start. They don't have an art background, and they definitely thought big. Right, like the whole idea, like everything we're ever going to do is always going to start out try and do it as big as possible. But this was weird because this one started as something much smaller. Like Kieran came to me and he tried to convince me to get into NFTs, and I just wasn't really having any of it. Like I'm just a very skeptical person.
Yeah.
So hearing that I can make 15 grand off some shitty vector art and then selling it online, to me is like, you go to art galleries and see people who are like famous photographers not selling stuff for that much. So the whole thing seemed a little bit crazy to me.
Yeah.
But originally, the whole thing started with Kieran coming to me, trying to get me out of the pit I was in, where I wasn't into art anymore, and just do something, just do something in the NFT space.
Yeah.
He'd been degen trading for 8 months, and I could like see it in his eyes that he was deep. Like he was deep in it. Like he had the crazy eyes, and like Kieran only gets like that every 2 to 3 years. Like he has these light bulb moments where he'll spend his entire life trying to convince you, and you just brush it off as insanity, as always. And this was the first time where I was like, he finally got through to me, and I was like, you know what? Like maybe I'll give this NFT thing a go. And it started out as trying to make a Pokemon NFT clone. Right? Well, that was the idea,
Yeah.
basically, like a get rich quick scheme, and just being totally honest. And eventually, I sorry, he's got his dogs here.
No, you're all good. You're all good.
No, so eventually it just became more than just some get rich quick thing, as it always does with us, because the competitiveness and like thinking bigger mindset kicks in. And so it started out as Kieran coming to me trying to get it off the ground. And then when I realized that we could do something a lot bigger,
Yeah.
we got Aaron involved and we started working on the game, and we just kind of, I don't know, we did a few early calls, and this was at the time where we weren't used to working with each other, and it wasn't big. It was like very sketchy early on as three brothers trying to do it, just because, you know, people say to you like, don't work with family, because, but at the end of the day, like I love working with them.
Yeah.
It is what it is. So we've gotten past that. We got past the early hurdles and just grew it into something that was gonna be like meaningful, something that we thought was gonna be hectic. And Kieran and I, as you know, are
Yeah.
passionate about Pokemon. So
Yeah.
early on, it just became about trying to recapture that feeling, which
Yeah.
Aaron didn't really understand, but I'm sure you understand. That's
100%.
the whole goal of the project. Like, however it started or finishes,
Yeah.
that's the end of it. That's the ultimate goal, to capture that feeling.
Definitely, and I think working with your brothers, like there's also, I feel like there's also a really good side to it where you can tell each other to get fucked without hurting feelings because you've done it your whole life type thing. I know with my brother,
Mhm.
it's the same sort of thing.
Kieran's feelings get hurt. Aaron's the robot.
Yeah,
Aaron, you can say anything to Aaron, and it just gets through to him. I
yeah,
think we're all on the spectrum. It's like Kane is very calculated, and he has to be like that way, because as an older brother, you've got to lead the way.
yeah,
Aaron is just a little bit cold. Like if you don't know him, he can come off as someone who you're like, do you not feel anything? But it's just, I don't know. It's just how it is. And then
different people. Yeah.
Kieran and I are more on the emotional side of things.
The one thing that I didn't realize about yourself was how big you were in like 3D modeling and shit back in the day, because like you said, Kieran was trying to get you back into it because you sort of
Yeah.
fallen out. But like after you did the reveal and stuff, I sort of searched you online, found some like YouTube videos that you were interviewing with like actual like people about 3D modeling, and it was like you seemed like sort of the guy in the space. You had your course, which was like, I think it was the most successful 3D modeling course online and stuff like that. There was just a lot of props. So like you've been doing this, like, because we look at the artwork and like watch you live modeling like the characters and stuff like that, and the suits and all that shit. But you've been doing that for ages, and it's just sort of, I don't know how we didn't like join the dots that there was another brother who was like, I don't know how that stayed hidden for so long. But yeah,
Kind of crazy.
you've got a massive actual like career in 3D modeling.
So inside of the CGI space, there's obviously multiple different like career paths,
Yep.
in that encompassing field. So I started out as a modeler. That was my first job. And then I moved to shading, then lighting. And then once you've learned that, those are the three fundamentals. I guess you could say animation on top of that, but animation is the one thing I never learned, right? Like
Yep.
that was the one thing where I just didn't have that desire to master it or learn it. Well, animation is one of those things where you can learn modeling, shading, and lighting in the same time that you would spend learning animation,
Yep.
right? Like it's like this animation is such a deep and complex path, and that's why we've got Alex
Yep.
Barbari on our team.
Yep.
He's one of the best animators in the world.
Yeah.
Who's working on all of those major things, and getting him early on kind of completed that process. But my
Yeah.
career, I started out as a modeler, then I moved to figuring out shading and lighting, which is creating materials for
Yeah.
objects, and then lastly learning the photography side. And the thing that separated my career from a lot of people's was I learned how to model all of those mainstream type things. Like I could have gone to a company like ILM and worked on Iron Man movies and stuff like that, but the inherent problem with film is that you're never pushing it to the absolute max quality because the resolution is lower. And so I naturally settled in print advertising, like high-end print advertising, doing jobs for car companies like brands like Sony, because every job you're doing is like 10 to 12,000 pixels wide. You know, if
Yeah.
you've got a 4K monitor, imagine that times 16, like massive, enormous print stuff. And there's no room for weakness in those types of jobs.
Yeah.
Every little mistake is seen, and that pushed my eye for detail to just a crazy point, like to an unnecessary point. It got to the point where we realized, like 10 years in, we can just render stuff half res, and clients don't even know.
Yeah.
You had these giant brands demanding that you do something 25,000 pixels wide, or if you open a Photoshop document and do that, like your computer's running out of memory with 256 gig of RAM, like dumb shit like that. And so my eye for detail was really, really crazy. So I went from modeling to shading to lighting. And then the thing that happened later in my career was I got a kind of overarching understanding of composition and learning how biomes worked and some of the fundamentals of like what makes art good, not just having skills in each one of those components, but like knowing how to piece it all together. And
Yeah.
that's the thing that's like, when I stopped doing CGI, like I burned out. Like I basically just had nothing left in the tank. And like I said in the Zionic interview, it kind of took my soul
Yeah.
because, and you see it a lot in different things. You see some boxers who push it to the point where they just don't have it in them anymore, or they get brutally KO'd and wheeled off in
Yeah.
a stretcher. And that's kind of what I felt like in my career. And now the thing that Illuvium has untapped is just basically having an unlimited budget. So instead of thinking to myself, well, I have to do everything, we can just hire people to do it. And now I've learned what it is to be really good and what it is to have a proper art direction and composition to a project.
Yeah.
And instead of thinking to myself, well, now I've got to do everything myself and burn out, we just hire people to do it. So
And that there's two things in that. One is the freedom that comes from doing your own project, basically. Like there's no one limiting to what you can do. It's just your own imagination. And two, that from your history, you look at what Illuvium's producing. Obviously, you're not doing that at all. You do a lot of
of
work, but
course,
like the team is amazing. But your past in what you were doing gave you all the connections that you could hire people that, even though they may not look like the best resume because they haven't come from, because everyone
Mhm.
always talks about there's no one from a AAA studio.
Sure.
You don't have to be from a studio to be good. You don't have to be from one of those gaming studios to be a good artist, concept artist, modeler, animator. And you've obviously met people along the way and been able to bring them on board into the project as well.
Absolutely. Like I've said it from the very start. I've said it publicly in our Discord many times. The thing that myself and my brothers will be most proud of at the end of this is actually building the right team, because we have been cutthroat about that. That is Illuvium. Like
Yeah.
at the end of the day, you can hire 150 people who don't know what they're doing, or who are lazy, or who don't have that X factor of being able to problem solve and think outside the box. But we've made sure that we only have people who fit that kind of role.
That mold. Yeah,
Some,
100%.
Someone who's capable of solving problems. Someone like, if I go to someone and like, I'm new to Unreal Engine, I'm new to the gaming industry, so you have to be adaptable and you have to be good
Yeah.
at problem solving, because every day there's going to be something that pops up that someone at a AAA studio has already solved, and unless you have that exact person who's solved that thing, the only other way is to be able to problem solve. And we have the team to do that. I can go out and say, all right, we need some procedural vine systems, like on the Brightland Steps area,
Yeah.
that don't get me started on Seaton's pronunciation of it. But
the,
what was that?
the
Like,
steepies.
what was that? I don't even know. He denies it, but whatever. But so like something in that region, right, where you've got
Yeah.
to go in and make a procedural vine system where you want to save time. So if we make 20 different spires of different rock formations, how do you make the vines naturally flow up that, like the Horizon Forbidden West
Yeah.
gameplay demo? And our, I'll give that to Sean, and then 3 days later, he's showing me some parametric system inside of Substance Designer that's got 800 nodes in it, and it's like automatically wrapping to the surface, and the vines are being generated at different sizes and scales. And Sean doesn't come from a AAA background, and his folio at the time when I hired him had 2 images on it. But you interview some of these people, they have like one really good image, and you just see it. Like, you just, from a lifetime of doing it, you know what it takes. And he's turned out to be unreal at what he's doing, just absolutely insane. So I don't know, the argument of like we don't have a AAA team. First of all, that's just not true. We do have a lot of people who are directly from AAA experience, and then on the other side of that, we have a lot of people who are from blockbuster film, Bollywood film level work, which might not seem as impressive, but like we put together a team. The thing that's most impressive to me is that we've had these high standards and still gotten up to 140, 150 people.
100%.
We could have, Kieran for months was sitting there saying, what do you think of this? He'd send me 10, 15, 20 folios a day. I'm just like, dog shit, dog shit, dog shit, dog shit. And he's just like, what? Like, really? And I was like, dog shit. Like, no chance, no chance. But then he'll show me one folio that has 3 images in it, and one of them is good. And I'm like, yeah, he's in.
Yeah,
And he's
100%.
And it just is what it is.
And I think the thing as well, like with crypto, like I used to always say, if you have a problem in the world that you want to solve, make it a regulation in Formula One and they'll find it out because they just had the money. Whereas now I feel like if you have a problem in the world that you want to solve, just make it a crypto project and you'll get the funding. And I think that's the other like real key thing about the crypto gaming space is that when you can pay these people a decent wage, I just feel like there's some industries that are just generally just underpaid for the amount of just brain power and like artistic quality that they have. And I feel like when you can give them tokens that have appreciated as much as they have, you give them that sense of worth. But then it's like also on top of that, you sort of get a hidden by having the freedom that sort of, the studio that you guys are sort of running with that sort of freedom. It also just makes it like a more enjoyable place to work is the way I see it, which then you get better quality work out of people for a longer period of time on a weekly basis, which ends up meaning that one person working for you guys is doing 3 times the work that someone in a studio, in a AAA studio is doing because they're getting paid shit and they're in an office with everyone. And I think that's also just on another tangent, the fantastic thing that, that COVID has done. It's just made people force themselves into working remotely. And you guys have worked completely remotely pretty much the whole time with people all over the world, and you've already been able to deliver what you have. So I just think crypto just adds that just valuable incentive to make people want to be part of something as well.
Well, 100%. And I can't speak for other projects and what they're paying staff or whatnot, but I know from the very start, coming from the high-end print advertising industry, where people, retouchers, photographers, the artists get paid properly and fairly because it's a niche industry where very few people are capable of doing that type of work at that level. I didn't have that issue throughout my career, feeling like I was getting screwed over. Like, sure, early on when you're learning, but it was kind of horrific for me at the start of this project because, and I don't want to get too far into details, obviously.
No. I'm not looking for that. It's just
no, sure, but I'm happy to go into that a little bit also because that was a major part of our strategy early on, and Kieran, Aaron, and myself all agree with it. You have to incentivize people properly, and this was a unique project for a lot of people. They'd never heard of crypto, and the tokens. Like, imagine if we knew the token price was going to be what it was now a year ago. We did, you know what I mean? At some point, the tokens had their seed value and their pre-seed value, and we were incentivizing people on that. Like, you get X amount of coins, and we think it's going to be worth this. but we don't know,
Yeah.
But if things go according to plan, the tokens will be what is the ultimate thing.
Yeah.
Like screw your salary. But also on the point of salary, I've had to throughout this hiring process, hiring so many people have come and they give you a salary and you're like, what? Like, no, like that's slave labor.
Yeah.
Like that's literally slave labor. Like it's horrific to myself. It's like I don't care if you're from some third world country where that's, standard there. It's still not fair. And I feel personally like we've done a really good job of making sure that we've looked after the team.
Yep.
And that's why a year later, the team is still motivated. The team doesn't screw us around. We trust the team to take time off when they need. And it's just a really good atmosphere behind closed doors. And on top of that, the other thing is having Aaron. The only reason we've been able to make this work remotely is because Aaron is just a freak at organizing things. And I'm absolutely terrible at organization. Kieran's terrible as well. He's
Yep.
not as bad as myself, but like I'm happy to profess that I'm terrible at organization. Like I'm sitting there with file names. Like I've said to Aaron, if I start digging into the number 4 digit, because 123XVF6, is starting to come up with like a duplicate file name on my desktop, I'm screwed. And
I've got to jump in. I take so many screenshots and snips, and I just literally punch my hand on the keyboard to give it a name, and then go on. If I see duplicate, I know I've been doing it too much. And I've got to move my hand a little bit.
my mentality, and I think I don't know what the type of like psychological process leads to this, but my mentality is if you're not directly working on something, you're wasting your time. So I'm the type of person who, over the course of a week working on this project, my desk will just slowly fill up with rubbish until I'm like, you know, my arm is like weaseled up through here, trying to hit
Yeah,
that point because I've got 5 glasses, and it's just how I've always been. It doesn't
100%.
really make a lot of sense, but it's just because I'm laser focused on what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But having Aaron there, like if you saw our back end, sometimes I've considered, just because people seem to love the character leaks and like just seeing random shit. Every so often I'll share screenshots of conversations that have been had
Yeah.
that I think are interesting. Just anything to do with the development of Illuvium. Sometimes I've wanted to screenshot like the way Aaron organizes files in our Google Drive system, because he's gone through and iterated on that like 5 times. And I'm like, bro, relax. It's good enough.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, it's not alphabetical from here, and the naming conventions aren't right. And I'm just like, okay. But the artists, everything's running smoothly because of that. And we've got really good producers now as well. And when you have a system that's so clean for producers to onboard into, like where everything's tagged, every plant asset has a concept sheet, every single, and I wouldn't have done that. With
Yeah.
all of my experience in the industry, I've gotten away with just winging it,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
Like every single time a new project starts, the desktop fills up, you finish the project, zip that, peace out, on to the next one. And thankfully Aaron's mentality has allowed that to, he ran a Harvey Norman and took a Harvey Norman from being, you know, very, very low on Australia's ranking and just rapidly
Yeah.
accelerated that up just through just management and just making systems and making things run clean.
100%. You need someone for everything inside it. But
Yeah,
I think I want to just jump into some stuff about the game because
sure.
you've been working more on the open world side of things. Aaron's obviously been working a lot on the auto battler side of things. So I wanted to dig in a little bit into the open world because obviously we've seen from the trailers and stuff, we've got the jetpack, we've got the mag boots. Those are your
Mhm.
two main forms of travel. From what I can see, it looks like the jetpack isn't like a boost yourself up to the sky. It's more of a hold yourself level and go horizontal, and then the mag boots are for vertical movement. Is that sort of the general
Yep,
gist?
100%.
Yep.
100%. So right now now that we made a mad rush to get all of those movement systems in for the trailer,
Yep.
and there are certain things that obviously aren't polished about that, but the idea behind our overworld was that we don't have the team size yet or the ability to do Tomb Raider or Horizon Forbidden West, so we need a really fun movement system something that just is satisfying. Like you can
Yeah.
just and we obviously have to set up controllers and things like that. That's been discussed. But the overworld is designed where it's a combination of just jumping puzzles and making sure that you can reach the Illuvials before they disappear into a void and that void closes and you can't reach them. So you
Yeah.
have to plan your attack. And that's the process we're in at the moment. Now that we've got that movement system, we've obviously had to rejig things and make sure that the jump distances work. And we're just in the process of testing out how to balance that movement mechanic so that each level works from the very first iteration on the boots or the jetpack you have,
Yeah.
where you might have very low energy and you can only use that as a slight boost to get to somewhere a little bit further out of the way.
Yeah.
But also trying to design into the leveler system where even if you don't have the jetpacks or the mag boots, you can still reach certain areas by just jumping and efficiently taking the correct path.
Yeah,
Which
100%. And I think and just that slight thing of mag boots and jetpack, giving that engagement. Like I know when I used to play WoW and I was like a demon hunter, like in one of the recent in Legion, it was like I had so much fun because they had a dash that you could use when you're jumping, and then they had gliding as well. Just running around cities, jumping and gliding is just something that I could do for hours waiting for queues. And it's just when I saw that, it was just like I can just have fun sitting in the overworld, because like one of my main concerns when we were like leading up to that trailer was always that I thought maybe the overworld would seem a bit bland. But when you get all that vegetation in there and then throw in the fact that like everything's different levels, it looks so interesting to explore. And just on the note, that footage that you had, obviously you had unlimited energy for your mag boots and your jetpack.
100%.
So when we're actually playing,
100%.
you're not going to be just spamming, jumping around the whole map and doing that stuff. So it'll be like more management and stuff like that. So especially when I think about the game from a free-to-play perspective, because I always think about the free-to-play side thinking, yes, you can spend money to make money and stuff like that. But I always think, 13, 14-year-old kids coming in, just giving them an enjoyment in the general gameplay. And I think that overworld is actually going to be the thing that brings that the most. And when you mentioned the tagging Illuvials and stuff, can we just jump into that a little bit more? Because that's something like I heard you mention on your interview with Zionic, but I wanted to dig in and get the exacts on how it actually works. So in that trailer, we obviously saw like the sort of third person shooter camera where you get the laser and you've got the gun. And in that in the trailer, obviously she's shooting like the sort of shard, sort of, I don't know what you call it, the crystal.
The tracking dart.
Yeah, the tracking dart into the beetle. I can't from is it Titanic? Is that the beetle? Titanor, that's it. Titalic's the fat one, isn't it?
Yeah, Tiktaalik.
Yeah, Tiktaalik, that's it. Yeah, okay, that's it. I was getting mixed up, but yeah, and then so she shoots that into him, and then they go into a portal. So in the actual open world, because we didn't see any Illuvials in the open world, and my original understanding was that when you're in the open world, there was no Illuvials, but there is going to be, isn't there?
Once you tag, so there are these kind of entities, singularities that are floating around the world.
That's like that little bubbles, those little bubbles in the trailer that you shoot and turns into a portal.
Yep. You can scan those and find out what Illuvial is in it, but scanning takes an X amount of energy.
Yep.
Right. So you can't just enter a region and just scan every single entity.
Yep.
You've got to strategically decide, am I going to scan this to find out what it is? Or maybe you'll scan a certain amount in the region and decide whether or not you want to go in, and then you run out of energy, but you still got the tracking darts there to shoot the entity, which is going to, potentially, and this is the biggest problem for us, is fighting bots. Like when you have an in-game economy, that's, and I touched on that with Zionic, like it kind of hurts that we're limited by that. And I've had a lot of these conversations with Aaron trying to figure out, I'm sitting here thinking month after month, there has to be a way where we can get Illuvials into the overworld without bots being able to break the system. But fundamentally, doing that, it just opens a can of worms where I mean, imagine day one or day five, a bot comes out that can just game the system and
Yeah,
crashes the entire
yeah,
economy. You're all of a sudden not going to really be given a shit that you saw Ramfire in all its glory flapping through the world, because
yeah,
that expensive NFT you just caught is worthless because some bastard has figured out a way to code a bot.
yeah,
And it's like, that's what we're fighting against. Like, and crypto gaming in itself is going to introduce a lot of those limitations just inherently because of these game
if people can
systems
profit off
running.
it, they'll scam
Yeah,
it. Yeah,
it's 100%. It's an actual economy, and so certain gameplay mechanics. That's one of the weaknesses of crypto. Like, we would love to just have all of the Illuvials out in the overworld, and it's very difficult to capture them. But like maybe Ramfire, if you see it and it notices you, it starts flying off. Then all of a sudden, it's like 10 times harder to shoot the thing.
yeah,
But if a bot can just auto track it and then bang, you've got it, you're
yeah,
screwed.
yeah,
And which sucks, that is something that sucks. So we found a middle ground where a bot, if it has to use a certain amount of energy, it has to do other things to acquire that energy,
yeah,
whether or not it's paying for it or doing other
yeah,
in-game tasks to do that. So the bot is still going to only be able to scan a certain amount, and it's then going to be able to decide if it wants to go in. But then you're on the same level playing field as everyone else.
yeah,
But the way it's going to work, so you have these singularities. You can scan it, find out what's in it. If you know what's in it, you still have to shoot it,
yep.
and then you still have to
So
follow it
so
into
so
the
so
void.
so for instance, if you see it, you can scan it, maybe cost you 3 energy, but shooting it will cost you 10 energy, whereas you could have just shot it and used 10. Instead, you've scanned it and then shot it and used 13.
You'll have
However,
to
you could scan it, use the 3, and then not go into it so you can find something else, is the basic energy type
shooting it.
system.
Well, shooting it won't cost energy.
Okay.
Shooting it will require the actual darts
Yep.
that you have to craft. So you have a certain amount of darts available. The gun carries 3 bullets, so you can fire 3 off quickly, like you saw in the trailer.
Yep.
The pangolin is running away. Arlen fires the gun. The first tracking dart hits it. What we were implying in that area of the trailer was that she's tracing this holographic entity, this singularity.
Yep.
It's like a predator like thing. You don't know what alluvial it is. Once she fires at it, tags it, it's opened up a singularity that we see off screen.
Yep.
Like that bullet's kind of whizzed in, and we don't see the actual her jumping in like the beetle scene.
Yep.
But then she follows that stage 2 pangolin into the auto battle, and then you have to defeat the pangolin in the auto battle.
Yep.
And
So
that's
yeah, so with that, so you scan the singularity, and then is it literally you just shoot the singularity and then it takes you into the auto battler?
At that point, once you shoot the alluvial with the tracking dart, it's no longer holding.
Will it be the alluvial or will it be the single? Like, this is what I'm trying to nut out. So it's a bubble.
The singularity,
yeah,
becomes an alluvial. It morphs. It like
okay. So you shoot it and then it turns into an alluvial and it runs away. It
turns into an alluvial and tries to run into a void to escape. So it's like you're, I don't know, like imagine a spider hiding under a box or something.
Yeah.
And you like rip the box away.
It's
and then that spider freaks out for a second. It doesn't know what to do, but then very quickly tries to run off and hide.
Yep.
Right. So that's what the alluvials are doing.
And so after you shoot it, it becomes an alluvial. It starts to run away.
Yep.
You then have to shoot it again. Is that the idea, or like
how?
No.
So you have to jump into the void before the void closes.
Oh, so it runs into a void, and then you've got to get to that void as well. And like, so, I don't know whether you guys have gone that deep yet, but like you might have to like get across like a certain thing with your
100%.
Yeah. Okay. That's cool. That's cool.
What I'm trying to say. So from a level design point of view.
Yeah.
Right. We've been building out hundreds of these assets, but now we're in the process of figuring out, now that we've got the movement mechanics in place, how to balance it so that we can have areas in a region where tagging certain alluvials is just by design going to be harder to get to them.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily mean that there's going to be harder alluvials there, but it might you might run into certain situations where an alluvial, you know that okay, that entity is floating up and around in that space. If I don't have mag boots and I don't have a jetpack, it might be impossible for me to reach it,
Yeah.
right? And that's one of those calculated decisions you have to make, right? And that's where it incentivizes you to upgrade the mag boots, upgrade the jetpack, because you might come very close to capturing something. You might shoot something and it's a ramfire and it goes into a void and is gone, and
Yeah.
you're like, fuck, like,
Yeah. And
I,
in the scanning process, will that tell you like if it's holographic, what it's like? I call them IV. What its base stat. You know how you got the variance on base stats and all that stuff. Like, how much information will the scan
you
give you?
won't know you won't know that it's holographic.
Okay.
You'll only know that it's going to be a holographic encounter once you've tagged it and the void opens up. So
Yep.
we have different types of voids that'll open up. There'll just be a standard void,
Yep.
right? And then there'll be a holographic void. And
Oh,
you
so
know
you shoot the thing and then
it's a different VFX.
oh, that's cool.
We've done multiple iterations
Yep.
on the void. It's a critical part of the game. And
Yeah.
I've been reluctant to share that stuff because I don't feel like it's 100% there yet.
Yeah, no,
And
that's cool.
we we
Just understanding how it worked, because like even after you chat with
sure,
Zionic, I was just like, I can't visualize how this
sure.
works with them in the overworld and stuff like
You
that.
see
But it
you
makes so
see
much sense now.
singularity.
Yeah,
Yeah, you see singularity. Let's just say you don't scan it. You see a singularity, you shoot it, it's a ramfire. You go, holy shit, it starts running away. You've got to chase it. It opens up a void that's
yeah,
holographic, that looks much more spectacular than a standard void.
yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're thinking, oh my God, it's
So
a ramfire in a holographic encounter. I know that there's a guaranteed chance of capturing a hollow character.
yeah.
And
Yeah. And
that's where we want to put
and
things
so
right.
when you go into those battles and you've got multiple alluvials, obviously there's that one main one, but then there'll be
Yep.
more that you can catch. Is it
Yes.
only the main one that can be holographic, or can the other little ones be holographic, or is that not decided yet?
It's not decided yet.
Yeah, that's all right. But and also with the trailer, like, so I think that's what sort of confused me, because in the trailer you shoot the singularity and it just turns into a portal. There was no alluvial, so that was that sort of like a work in progress of we haven't developed the morphing into an alluvial yet.
There were certain things that we were working on implementing that had already started in parts of the trailer. So it was like a race to the finish line.
Yeah,
And I guess certain things didn't converge as good as they could have.
yeah, no, like, that
So,
makes sense. Yeah,
but imagine the Beatles scene,
yeah,
right? In the overworld, you might be running through Crimson Waste in one of the tunnels. You see that entity, you shoot it, and it's Titanor. It's gonna start running away from you or towards you. In the
yeah,
trailer, for cinematic
yeah. It was running
purposes,
towards, but normally that'd be
we made
running
it one that
away. Yeah,
it's trying to get away from you,
yep,
and you're trying to chase it down, and it's going to jump into the entity, into the void,
yep,
and that void is going to start closing once it gets in the void. And so in the trailer, you saw like the void closing just as she got to it,
yeah.
right? And then the next scene was her in
In
the
the
auto
battle,
battle,
yeah,
where it was gameplay,
yeah,
unfolding of her trying to defeat that alluvial. So what we want to try and the goal with the limited gameplay mechanics that we have right now,
yep.
right? And we're trying to make the fundamentals like Illuvium, like feel like Illuvium, and then anything we add on, little like less significant things, just to bolster on and make it seem a little bit more full. Not as important to us at the moment.
Yep.
Right now, we're trying to get it right so that if you're in a region and you might not want that character as part of your team, but you need that character to defeat the character you do want.
Yep.
Does that make sense? So
Yeah,
like
and that's essentially what she was doing, except not to get the character she wants, but to defeat the enemy she wants to beat.
yes,
She was gathering
yeah,
the
yes,
waters and the
yes,
earths to go ahead and
yes,
take against the fires. Yeah.
100%. And that was Aaron's input in the trailer. Originally, I was just it wasn't gonna be as story driven, and I think that was the main reason for the delay of the trailer. Like,
Yeah.
how do we make this so that people who are unfamiliar with the game a year from now can watch the trailer and just get an idea for what you're trying to do in the game, which is
Yeah.
build out a team that doesn't necessarily need like your final team at the start. It's going to evolve over time to get you to that point, however you want to
Yeah.
get there.
I'm super keen to see the way, like, once we get into playing it, the actual balance of how you guys like actually lay that out on, you know, like what level you need to level, like whether you need tier 1s to get to tier 2s, or whether someone can, you know, level up a tier 0, jump into straight into tier 2s. I think that whole, like, and also from a content side of things, because that's where I'm doing it, like trying to min max, like, you know, getting tier 0s that can take you straight into tier 2 or 3 areas and catch them, or like, you know, making the minimum requirement between stages of leaping if you're just someone that wants to get to tier 5s at the end of the day and stuff like that. I think that's going to be really enjoyable. And just backtracking for 1 second back onto those portals, because I'm really interested in this side of things, because I think this overworld gameplay is going to be epic. With the singularities, is it sort of like you're going to have set portal locations around the map, and then each singularity will be linked to a hidden portal location, or will like you'll shoot a singularity and it'll get its own randomly generated portal at a random okay.
Yes, it randomly generates. Otherwise, bots could just
so like sometimes you might shoot it and just have to run like 10 meters, and then other times
100%.
you might be running all the way across the map chasing the thing.
The goal is to balance it so that the harder the Illuvial is,
the further they
in the auto battle, either the faster the portal closes, the further away the portal is, you know, and different Illuvials have different characteristics. Some are really slow, right? So we could make it so that a really slow Illuvial, obviously, like we have a sloth in the game and like a series of sloth, right? Now that isn't going to open a portal and then like, you know,
I'm just
slowly crawl there. And you're
I'm just fucking picturing this.
It might only move a couple of feet before that portal wraps up and closes. And even though it's a sloth, its portal closes the fastest. There are certain things we can do in the gameplay mechanics to balance that out and make it feel like each alluvial,
make it feel real, sort of thing,
on a spectrum. You know, on a spectrum. We're limited. I've said this before. The biggest concern I have for the game isn't the auto battler. I feel like we've got that covered. Like I already feel like when we showcase the interface and stuff like that, it's going to be more fun than teamfight tactics. At least just from my perspective, I feel like we've locked that off. Like it's really good. It can be better, but we're good. The overworld's the thing of concern because short dev time, the team size needs to be a lot bigger. Our goal is to just make it so that the NFT side, the crypto side, offsets some of that limitation. It doesn't necessarily mean that I think the gameplay is going to be bad. I definitely don't think it's going to be bad, but is it going to be enough to satisfy people long term? That I honestly don't have the answer for, and that's something that we just have to heavily work on. And like I've taken a couple of weeks off now to try and recover after the trailer, and now the number one goal is just to further build that environment team like we've built the team for the auto battler. Like we're lagging behind in the overworld, even though the overworld you've seen how many assets we've shown. You know, like you can imagine that the Brightland Steppes region in the trailer showed like 7 or 8 assets that the team sculpted out of like 400 plants now that we've got, and we've got hundreds more coming. Like the whole idea is to have this giant avatar like set library to set dress the worlds from, and that's what we're doing at the moment. And that's something that like after the video tonight, I'm going to jump into modeling on the live stream. I'm going to jump into modeling the Leviathan, but the other thing I want to start doing is sharing the set dressing of the overworld, and like how as devs we'll take that movement system and design out the overworld to be balanced for the movement mechanics we actually have. Like how do I and part of that process might just be teaching the community about how much goes into the development side, and I think that would be super fun.
Definitely, yeah.
We're a few months away from the open beta coming out. March next year or whatever is the time frame we've got, and people are getting more like those dopamine hits are, getting higher and higher.
As soon as I see that notification on the Illuvium Discord, I'm straight there.
And that's part of the problem. When you set such a high standard, you've got to either maintain it or keep pushing it to another level.
Yeah.
And there's so many things we can do that we haven't shared from a development side that we're just not afraid to share. Like, I doubt you'd find Blizzard having an artist on a Twitch live stream just making the levels live.
Yeah, 100%.
You wouldn't find that. I don't know why. To me, it just seems like you're alienating the community.
It gives you more validity in what you're building, but I guess it's a different scene though, because I feel like especially at this stage of crypto gaming, it's like skepticism. There's still, I get comments on every video saying it's a scam. Like, that's not real. That's just they've put that together for a rug pull, and like there's that much like cynicism around the space where it's like. You're more just like, have everything and then tell me. And it's like, whereas with those companies, people know they make games, but they probably want to keep it hidden because they're trying to profit more, in their own back end type thing.
I was like, how to rug for dummies.
Yeah.
And I'm at the point where you lock your coins up for an extra year.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at.
But like you said, it started off as like a get rich quick idea, and now it's turned into the most elaborate rug pull of all history. So you've done well there.
Very quickly, very quickly, we just stopped giving a shit about the money side of it. You'd go insane. You'd go insane to give a shit, and that also comes down. We have a lot of like really cool-headed team members.
Yeah,
like Roger, he was one of the most incentivized team members. He was there basically from like 2 weeks in, 3 weeks in, after the Fresno Nightwalker nightmare ended. Roger came in, and for 6 months he didn't realize that he even had tokens.
Yeah,
and I'm just like, bro. You get what's happening here, don't you? Like, you're like, that's more important than your salary. And he's just like, I don't care. And like Kieran and myself, getting wrapped up, like, this thing's growing, where's it going to end? And then having team members like that helps level you and just like make you realize at the end of the day, who gives a shit? Because like Kieran said, if the game sucks, I'm going to kill myself.
Yeah.
So, like, it can't. Like, it just can't suck.
100%.
Like, however way you pull it off, you've just got to suck it up. You can't be a little bitch. And you've got to be super critical and make sure that, like, and in terms of, like, the scam comments and stuff like that, just
it is what it is.
We're trying to be as transparent as possible. We had, there was a discussion in the feedback channel today where, a couple of people were mentioning we weren't being transparent enough. And I guess at the end of the day, we're always going to listen to all of the feedback.
Yep.
And I was a bit shocked because I was like, isn't that the thing that we're like most good at?
Yeah.
Like actually sharing things. But I guess once we set that standard,
but the more you share, the more they want.
Yeah. The more you want. And it's like, some of the comments, well, we're not comparing you to normal gaming. We're comparing you to you.
Yeah.
And it's like, fuck.
Yeah, 100%. Because it's like you get into that trap of like, people think the game's coming out tomorrow and you've got it all ready, but you're hiding it. But no, you're actually rushing a development. So it's like a work in progress all the time
100%.
Because it's such a tight timeline. So it's like, it's really hectic. But talking about being in early, I've got my horror story of Illuvium. And I've actually tracked it. Like I took a screenshot of when I joined the Illuvium Discord. It was in April.
Okay.
So I was in early because I just saw the game.
Oh, right.
I just saw the game and I was like, oh, this looks cool. I joined the Discord. I do it with like tons of games. And I just like kept coming back weekly, monthly, checking the leaks because like, oh, this is cool. They have some cool images. I didn't realize until about September the token was the thing and staking was a thing and all. Like, I didn't get crypto. So I had a big opportunity just to sit in general for a day and figure that out, and I missed it.
I still don't get crypto.
Yeah, like, it's hectic.
I'm not a crypto person.
Yeah.
It's not what I am.
Yeah.
Like, it was always this out there crazy thing, and I also was one of those people who felt like, it's too late now. But
Yeah.
like, I think in the grand scheme of things, we're still
Oh,
at ground
dude,
zero.
I think someone
Let's,
told me the other day that like all of crypto gaming is like below the market cap of like Shiba Inu or something like that, or Dogecoin or whichever one. And I'm just like, wow, it is so small at the moment. If it,
it's really small,
yeah,
really small. I think it's like incomprehensibly small
and
because
yeah.
look at mainstream gaming. I mean, do you see in 15 years' time any game that doesn't have some kind of crypto based
Oh, 100%. Like,
platform attached to it?
and especially for me, because I come from mobile gaming where like I'm in guilds with people that spend thousands of dollars every month.
Mhm.
And you like if you quit, you can't sell that. You can't get anything back. And like that's why as soon as Seaton made me play Axie, the worst 2 weeks of my life, but like once I figured that out, I'm like, holy shit, like why is everything not this right now? Like it just makes so much sense. So that's why I like made the complete pivot because I'm like, this is just like it just makes sense. Like not even from the fact of trying to make bags online and getting rich and all that shit. Just from the aspect of I can spend some money in this game, and if I want to go to another game, I might recoup 80% of my investment.
Hmm.
Like that's better than anything out there at the moment. So that I just think the whole industry is just going to develop, and I think games like especially Illuvium, and other ones like Big Time that I see, I feel like there's a few games next year that will really cater towards the general gaming audience and sort of start that bridge because at the moment there is nothing that's really that enticing to a general gaming audience that's unique. I'm seeing a lot of clones or even mobile games that are already mobile games, but they're just repurposing them with NFTs. I'm seeing a lot of that, but like it's nothing new and original and exciting. Whereas I think, especially Illuvium, like I've said this many times, like the two things that I love is I play a bunch of auto battlers and like I'm a Pokemon fanatic. And when like all I've ever wanted, like I've played all the fan made Pokemon MMOs, open world things, because like I just wanted them to make something, and they just never did. They've actually got one coming in like January now, but it's like it's just that next level of enjoyment, and I think that's the big thing for me with Illuvium. I don't know if you share the same sentiment. It's like the open world side is going to be that real immersive side that's going to get one group, like just the open world immersive jumping around chasing Illuvials, catching them is going to like be able to target one set audience, and then the auto battler is going to be able to target a whole nother audience of competitive players. So, and I feel like you might end up with this really nice ecosystem, which, who knows how a market generates itself, where maybe these people that just enjoy running around chasing alluvials can then be just selling them to the auto battler competitive people who don't want to spend the time doing that, but they want to compete in, tournaments and try and get some prize money. And like, then you get both groups doing what they enjoy, being able to really benefit each other.
I've honestly got no idea how it's going to pan out. All we can do is design the game to, have certain intentions for what people are going to do. But until the game's in closed beta and we get some actual hard data from people running around,
Yeah,
seeing where they spend their time, we don't know. Like, and
100%.
we're also a first time studio, and a lot of the benefits that like larger studios with longer development histories have is just data on
Yeah,
beta testing and player testing, and that's something that we have to be super realistic about and kind of I don't have any expectations, and I'm trying as much as you are hyping the project up and the other content creators are hyping the project up. I try not to let that like get to my head and tell myself the game's going to be great because X content creators excited for it.
yeah,
What you have in your head of the idea of Illuvium could be completely different to how the actual game unfolds.
definitely.
Now, the best mindset we can have obviously is like we want people like you to be happy, right? We
Yeah,
want you to be able to feel that feeling of like, okay, I like the auto battler, I like running around the open world. There's no boring elements, and
yeah,
that's where I'm reserving a lot of the mental energy for making adjustments
yeah,
because up until that point, we don't know how it's going to unfold. I mean, you could make a first-person shooter and say, I hope people shoot the targets, and then they find something completely different in the game that the developers had no intention of happening. But I feel like we will come up with a solution where even if the overworld isn't as built out as we would love and as isn't as crazy, the auto battler is going to be super fun, and that's hopefully what ties everything together. We want people to feel like it's not just like I choose the overworld and I choose the auto battler. Like you want people to obviously enjoy both.
100%. That's the idea for me. But it's like I just like the idea that if you like something more, that the economy can support that idea for you. Like it just like it feels like it can cater to just about anyone's enjoyment as long as they find something in the game.
I've never been the type of gamer to grind. Right, it's one of those things that's a little bit alien to me. Like I've never been like a Warcraft person who's trying to grind up. I'm just not like that. Like I'm the type of person who'll grind a high score in like a sport game or a competitive game. But I'm not the type of person who can run around and just harvest trees for 6 days straight. But those people exist.
100%.
As much as I don't believe it, those people exist, and I do feel like having a strong economy, which I have 100% trust in Aaron and Ben in implementing properly, that economy will cause things to happen that we can't even speculate on. That up to the better.
Oh, right? 100%.
And we just got to see how that unfolds and be like, like I said, like you can go in the feedback channel and we have certain priorities. And for me, we've got to reserve a lot of energy for being adaptable once people actually give us feedback. I'm expecting a lot of negative feedback on certain things, and I'm also expecting us to just go in and go, okay, we've actually got some data now from players. Like, are they happy? Are they not? Let's either go in and fix it, or if they're happy with this, how do we expand on that? And that's why we're racing towards getting the closed beta happening as soon as possible.
Even
if it's
you go.
Sorry, even if it's not as fully fleshed out as we would like.
Yeah, and what I was going to add to that is like we got to remember when it launches in like as soon as you say Q1 2022, I just think the 31st of March. That's where it's penciled in. Anything earlier is a win. Sure. But like when that launches, that's still an open beta. So even though everything's functional, like the things you catch are NFTs, the market will be running. It's still a test period to still get that data and be able to adjust things while it's happening.
I think we would be absolutely insane to come out and say that we could launch this game as a complete game.
Yeah.
I just don't see a reality where that's realistic.
Yeah.
And I'm not insane or just coming off as instance like it just doesn't make sense to me. I would love to be able to go, hey, Illuvium, first time game studio comes out with this polished, perfect crypto platform day one. But I mean, that's not going to happen, right?
Yeah,
like
100%.
The community, I don't want to like deflate the community, but like the community also has to understand that we're trying to be innovative. We've implemented tokenomics that have never been seen before, back end marketplace that hasn't really been seen before, maybe in Axie. Right, in terms of integration, but there's also things we want to do that Axie doesn't have and integrate further and expand on a digital marketplace connected to NFTs and things like that. But there's just so many unknowns, and we just got to get ready for it. We're just racing towards that finish line. But I mean, there's so many things that I'm super confident about. Like I definitely feel like when people load up, they're not going to be, unless you're playing on minimum specs and disabling everything. I feel like people are going to get that awe and wonder of actually wanting to explore the overworlds.
Yeah, 100%. And that's I just think like that's another big one that actually does come up is specs and stuff like that. But you are going to have those reduced settings that people can play. I know you haven't released actual specs, but like if you're planning on building a mobile version next year, like obviously there's gonna be that entry level for players, like, and that's what I actually think it's actually a nice way to do it, is to have the PC version first for the open beta launch, because it'll keep your player base a bit smaller than if you just launched on mobile straight up. Let you flesh things out, and then as you develop the mobile app, obviously there's just so many people that can play on mobile who can't play on PC, and that's when you really start to scale the project and, you know, do a proper campaign and say it's a mobile game as well, and away you go.
The current at the moment is going out and talking to investors to raise the capital to speed up the mobile process. Our mentality was, let's get the main game to a point where we can expand on the team and shift some of the people over to working on the mobile side of things. But
Yep.
obviously, for mainstream adoption, we're going to need mobile. And thankfully, in the games industry, taking a high quality asset and making it mobile ready is much easier than taking a mobile asset and making it game ready. Like
Yep.
the only reason we're pushing so hard for the graphics is because I grew up on Crisis, and Crisis was the first time in my entire life where a game felt like it was capturing that same aura that CGI did for me.
Yeah.
I used to look at movies and just go, whoa, like, what's happening?
Yeah.
Like, something crazy happens on the screen. Games never captured that. Games didn't look good enough to get that, like, holy shit feeling.
Yeah.
And Crisis did that. Crisis was the first game where I said, all right, fuck it, I'm spending all my savings on a new PC, and I'm going to custom build it, water cool it, overclock it,
Yeah.
just to crank up the super sampling on the textures an extra 50%.
Yeah.
And maybe a lot of people don't relate to that, but I also knew that when Crisis came out, people weren't talking about the gameplay mechanics of Crisis. They were talking about the graphics. And it was a first-time studio who never worked. And my friend actually was working on it. That was like I was
Yeah.
seeing internal development and what he was doing in the CryEngine version 1. And I was just like, holy shit. You know, I was like 18 years old, I think, at the time, like 19 years old, maybe. And it just blew my mind. And so that, similar to Pokemon feeling, is why we wanted to push the graphics. Like, and also
100%.
I don't know, I would hate to make a game that just had shitty graphics.
Yeah. Well,
Wouldn't be fun.
I find often, because I've worked with a few like lead artists in different game studios, and I
Mhm,
find
mhm.
lead artists are very anal about their stuff, and I find through some of the studios that I've met these guys through, is they get shackled into what they can do, and it just absolutely destroys them doing subpar quality things when you really want to deliver, but like, you know, you got a company saying, no, we just want to make profit, and that's the sort of thing. So I definitely understand that aspect of why do something like this when I could do it better. So that's I just love that sort of stuff. I just really enjoy well presented art and visuals and stuff like that. It's just like I said, I think Illuvium's immersion in that open world is just going to be so ridiculous, and it's gonna really just add that
So
extra layer.
I've been, over the last 2 weeks, like, basically just recovering mentally and trying to not think about Illuvium for a little bit.
Yeah.
And like, since we've jumped on the call, I'm like, my mind is flipping the switch back, and I'm just sitting like 100%. Like, every time I want to jump in and do set dressing on the overworlds or something like that, I didn't expect the reaction on the overworld. I've actually got chat histories inside of our trailer progress where I was like, yeah, look, sorry, the overworld turned out a bit shit, guys. Like, it is what it is. Like, we can
Yeah.
make it better. Like,
Yeah.
it is what it is. And like, the sound guys were like, I think it looks good, and I was like, nah, it's dog shit. Like, we could have done so much more for the trailer, but we were rushing so crazy, like, to get all of that out. And
And you
I,
just
s- I
I was going to say, you just mentioned the sound, guys. Holy fuck, the sound is amazing too while we're
they're
talking
freaks,
about
man. They're
Jesus
freaks.
Christ. It's
Sound
amazing.
sound is one of those things where, like, I don't know, like, you
It's,
can see the
you can't
graphics.
explain it, but just when you
No.
like, as soon as like you like this trailer starts and you get the explosion, like you just know. It's just like, even that first trailer that you guys did that was on the website, I think it's still on the website. Like, even just the audio in that, like
Oh, they
I
saved that.
was so sold on that as soon as I saw that trailer.
That first trailer, just so everyone's aware, like, that was hacked together Dimitri and I had never used the Unreal Engine sequence editor,
Yeah.
right? Had been, I don't know, it was like 4 or 5 months in Unreal Engine at the time. And we only had a couple of animators and like no texture artists. Like it was like really hacked together. We did that in 9 days, start to
Jesus.
finish. The first trailer, 9 days. We gave the sound, and Kieran was obviously similar to this one. Like, when's it coming? When's it coming? I
Yeah.
delayed that. I delayed that 3 days for
Yeah.
Kieran. Like he was expecting it after 6 days.
Yeah.
Right.
What
Like Kieran's
what
worked
it
with
wasn't as much heat back then though.
nowhere near. But I mean, we had no competition.
Yeah.
To me, it was just like shooting fish in a barrel.
Yeah.
You know, like we could have done anything, and like we're proud of that trailer. But don't get me wrong, that first trailer is just absolute shithouse. I don't think anyone on the team internally is looking at that first trailer now and going like, yeah, that stood the test of time.
Yeah.
Like now I look back on that and think like, can you imagine these like a Blizzard CEO looking at these fuckwits out there saying that we're going to take over Blizzard, and then it's looking at that trailer, they're going to be like,
Yeah.
what?
Real threats.
Like,
Yeah, 100%.
yeah, like cool, like 9 days and 4 people on the trailer, like
yeah.
you know, embarrassing, super embarrassing. And I'm sure in 6 months' time we'll look back on this trailer and just go, it's just dog shit.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Even though we nearly
I,
killed ourselves. This one we did it
I don't think
properly.
you're going to look back on this one as dog shit. I think it was well presented.
But I mean, that's the mentality you've got to have.
Yeah.
Right. There's always got to be something better.
Yeah, you've always got to be trying to improve. Otherwise, you're just going backwards.
Thing is about, well, the weird thing about this one is all the artists on the team are getting instant gratification. Like I can't underestimate how good that feels, and it's just pure ego.
Yeah,
right?
100%.
Like everyone has an ego. Like no one wants
Yes.
to sit there working behind closed doors for 4 years and then finally get that like, you know, good review out on IGN and get that feeling. It's like how much of that good feeling are you actually absorbing instead of getting little hits all the time?
That's and that's another reason I always like try to emphasize as much as I can, like on like things like the just like, you know, the plants, the architecture, that sort of stuff, and the audio, because I feel like those are two things that, you know, don't get as much praise, but like especially that, like I said, that audio, like you put good headphones on and watch that trailer, it's just like if it wasn't there, it would be such a diminished experience.
Nico, T-Bow, and Vince are just freaks. Like our sound team, there are certain things like I can sit there and say I can look at an artist's folio and just instantly know if they've got it or not. But there are certain things that come down to luck and just intuition. Like I couldn't look at a sound guy's folio from another sound guy's folio and go, okay, you don't have this software experience, so you're not going to be. It doesn't mean anything to me. And there are certain things where we've just had to wing it, and thankfully,
got the W.
We've gotten lucky on certain things, and like those types of people stayed with us. And not every person who's joined the team has stayed with us. We have a trial period, obviously, to make sure things are going to work out. But those sound guys, it's just like what, like. You know what I mean? Like T-Bow comes from AAA games, and what was the trailer? Throughout the work on the trailer, they were sitting there saying like, we need Illuvium to sound as good as Diablo 4.
Yep.
Is it Diablo 4 or 3?
Well,
so Diablo 4.
They're working on it now. Yeah.
The Diablo 4 apparently has the best sound of all time in a game, and they've been referencing that non-stop. And I'm like, I don't even need to check out Diablo 4. I'm fucking happy with Illuvium sound, like the things those guys are doing.
Yeah.
So, and they know they're freaks too. Like they're super confident, and I love that. Like I love working with a team where you can just go, "Can you just make something hectic, man?" And they go, easy.
Yeah.
Easy. Like I don't think people realize how easy I've got it art directing this project.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's honestly quite easy. Like I'm that's why I'm proud, because I don't have to fucking baby anyone. I don't have to like hold hands and go through that like soul crushing process of trying to build people up to be these heroes. You know, and I've done that before. I've joined studios before and taken artists who didn't have confidence in themselves as artists, and you just break it down. You just make things simple and you teach people. And I've had a teaching business. Like I'm very good at teaching people, and that was one of the like teaching people takes your soul from you.
Yeah.
You know, you have to give everything. And I was a little bit concerned about that on this project. I went into this project with the mindset of, okay, it's too much success now not to just snap out of it and just do it. But I was also a little bit worried that that was what was going to like drain me, and instead we
And I think that's where you've hired incredibly well, where you've hired those people that, you know, you don't need to do that. So it just frees up everything and makes everything run a bit smoother.
Oh, absolutely. Like I'm sitting here now, like I said, I'm the switch is flipping in my brain where I'm like, cool, get in there, do some live streams of modeling, set dressing,
Yeah.
show people running around the overworld, prove that it wasn't just faked bullshit, you know.
Yeah.
And it was so annoying because after the Kira TV video, I went into our there was certain things. There was just an absolute clusterfuck of shit happening right up until that trailer.
Yeah.
And when you're working on a game, right, and you have 25, 30 people working on one map, you have to do it in a way where, unfortunately, the industry doesn't have the ability for like 2 or 3 or 4 people to work on a map at the same time.
Yeah.
So like one person works on something, they check their work out, upload it to the server, then another person goes in, downloads that, does their thing. And after that Kira TV video, I was like, okay, I'll just jump in Unreal and do a live stream saying, well, is this fucking real time or what? Like, you
Yeah.
tell me, is this the exact same battle that
Uh,
took place in the trailer? And there was this issue with the battle board being
it was a different
like,
battle board. Yeah. Because,
yeah, no, not that, not that. That
oh,
was Aaron. Like Aaron didn't have my version of the map because it
yeah.
was like the day after, right? So that we put all the acid pools in and stuff right at the end. So I had that map, but
Yeah.
Dimitri or someone in that last rush after everything was uploaded and finished, the battle war was like off axis a little bit, and a couple of our team members were offline. And I was like messaging the dev saying, how come the Illuvials are floating in the air? And like, how do we fix this? And then it was like a couple of days later, and then I got sick, and I was like, the universe is like, it kind of, and then my computer died for the Zionic interview. Then another computer died, and I was like,
You took a break at the right time.
imagine had any one of those things gone wrong the day of the trailer being launched. It
Fucking
was
hell.
like, I was like, whoa, like I'm used to a history of crashes. Like I didn't have any Unreal Engine crashes that lost work. I didn't have any corrupted Perforce files. You know, I didn't have any GitHub crashes. It was like the universe just wanted that trailer to go out.
Yeah.
Like it tried to screw us over at the last minute, but it wanted it to go out because
Yeah.
after that trailer came out. So like I think we fixed all that up now in terms of the height, and obviously I was sick for a week. Like I was quite sick, so otherwise I would have just got in and done the live
Yeah.
stream. So we still can absolutely do that. Like my
100%.
goal is to go in, live stream, show people how we set dress the worlds, maybe even teach people a little bit about bio creation and how we compose things so people have more confidence that these environments aren't just going to be slapped together.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and just
Yeah,
shit.
because I feel like also like the stock standard criticism is like, because a lot of games are just using, you know, Unity assets and stuff like that. Everyone just looks at any project and says, "No, it's using Unity assets," when they don't even know what Unity assets are. So it's like it's that general skepticism. But I mean, I think at the end of the day, you know, if you guys are doing the rug pull and this is like the most elaborate rug pull on earth, I'm happy to lose to it. It is pretty like it's sort of at that
Say
point.
that.
It's
Don't say that.
it's sort of at that point now. It's like it's just like, well, you deserve everything if that's how much effort you've gone into. But like honestly, it's looking absolutely ridiculous.
I hope people understand, like, having Kane as our older brother.
It adds so much. Like you cannot. Yeah, that's you.
What are we
you
going
go.
to do? Are we going to fucking rug a community of 200,000 people
Yeah.
while our older brother's top 100 coin has 4 years of legitimacy
Yeah.
that he's slogged his entire life, sacrificed family time, personal time,
Yeah.
health over, is like his 3 younger brothers who he
Yeah.
financially helped make this happen. Like at the end of the day,
Yeah.
like it doesn't matter if I'm a good artist and Kieran is good at raising money and pitching people and Aaron's, you know, a freak at game dev for whatever reason. at the end of the day, we strapped on to Kane's success.
Yeah, I think
That enabled it.
I think
Like,
I
no
was
Kane, no Illuvium.
yeah,
And so
100%.
what are we gonna do? Like Rug? He'd break my legs. Like he
I had this. I think it was Seaton I had this conversation with, and I'm like, do you reckon these guys would be like that fucking dog to actually screw over their brother? Like, how epic of a story would that be? But yeah, 100%.
imagine.
And
Imagine.
I think, yeah, that kind of backing as well. But
But I mean
we're beyond
people,
we're beyond that point now. Like, if I think it's just you've got people. There's always going to be skepticism. Let them be. Let the people who want to believe, and then let the cards fall once you put the game out. And then there's no more. Once the game is out and you're playing it, people can't say, they can't say it's fake.
We wanted to avoid this. We wanted to have that was the whole point of character leaks.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Like say whatever you want about Kira TV. I've followed his content for a couple of years now, and I'm very well aware of himself and a few other people on YouTube who've made content creation career centered around negativity, skepticism, scams, and you've got to learn both sides. When we started this, Kieran was out there looking at videos of like the biggest gaming companies and all of the huge success stories, and this game sold 20 million copies and was hyping me up, sending me articles saying that we can do this, and I was sitting there looking at Kira TV bad mouthing Earth 2 and Chronicles of Illyria. And I'm like, okay, well, how do we not be that? Right? Like, we're in crypto, right? We're in crypto, and people aren't going to do research from mainstream. They're going to think NFTs are bad for the environment without researching Immutable X. And maybe still with Immutable X, they're not acceptable enough, Like, it's just, once again, it just comes down to my own skepticism. But like, character leaks was designed to shut people up and just be like, well, there's only outside of us releasing daily reports from every single artist, which
just cameras in the corner of everyone's room, fucking live streaming 24 hours.
Everyone's getting monitored. We've got like prison bracelets strapped onto ourselves.
Yeah.
What can you do except just share it's not like we've outside of sharing actual code. I feel like I've shared pretty much every element of the development process.
Yeah.
We share the music before release, the models, concepts, textures, animations, VFX, sound effects. What else? Like some of the mechanics now are coming out. Like I'm not sitting here, and this was part of why we did the trailer the way we did it. It wasn't like, cool, trailer's out, piss off everyone, give us 5 months in the dark, and you're hopefully going to get something you like. Like, it was like, release the trailer. People are probably going to say that they didn't get enough gameplay because we weren't at a development phase where I could just happily share 5 minutes of just tutorial-based gameplay. Like, we just weren't there.
Plus, the way you display it, like it drives hype. Like I love I've always been a sucker for pre-game release cinematic trailers and in-game cinematics during games, because it gives you that feeling. And like, if you literally just put gameplay down, like, I feel like the raw gameplay isn't for a trailer. I feel like the raw this is gameplay is for character leaks. Like that's where that goes. The trailer is meant to be something that gets people excited and gives you that immersion, is the way I sort of viewed it.
There's two sides to the coin, right? If you said to me you needed more gameplay in the trailer, I would go, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. That we did what we did because we got as much gameplay in as we could without little things. There are so many little things that can just ruin the whole thing.
Yeah.
This character's turn animation doesn't have the right JSON data, and for that frame, instead of it doing its attack, it like clips into another attack. Well, that shot's ruined, right? You have 10 other characters on the battle board all working perfectly, and that one thing, are you going to show that in the trailer? Like, I couldn't justify that, right?
Yeah.
I couldn't my mentality was just make something amazing that shows enough of what the gameplay is going to be like, and then just haul ass and make sure that we're not leaving people in the dark, and then quickly supporting that trailer with more
More
gameplay,
gameplay. Yeah.
more overworld development, and
Yep.
larger scope reveals. As you've seen, you've been here from April, you would have seen that around that time, most of it was just concept art.
Yep.
Just you start out with concept art, then you got to start moving to modeling, then texturing, then the animations, then the VFX, then the sound effects. And if you followed our progress, you've seen how quickly, and it's all verifiable, we've moved from step to step. Certain Illuvials have gone through that entire process,
Yep.
and then we've looked at them and gone like, holy shit, like that first trailer, those characters, like the turtle, like its eyeballs had the wrong textures, it didn't have passive VFX. We've then gone all the way back and then like gone, okay, well, before the game's even out, we could have just said, fuck it, it is what it is. Have redone a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Like we're trying to showcase that, and like that's from my perspective where I'm like, okay, if you feel like we're not being transparent enough or whatnot, well then check character leaks and
Away you
go
go.
back over the 10,000 updates we've shared. And
100%.
but
It's
I agree. I
is
agree that
clear.
we did the trailer the way we did it, but we need to show more gameplay. There needs to be more concrete evidence of the gameplay, and we're very close to doing that.
Yeah.
We're very
Yeah, I
close.
definitely think it'd be sick just to see a gameplay loop of someone, going scanning, shooting, chasing,
Mhm.
going in, battling, capturing. Like I think that would just be a really cool cycle. But obviously you got to get that ready and get it flowing because, like you said, everyone works on stuff separately, and then
Yep.
you got to piece it all together. But
Before the open beta, there will be a video of like
a
what
gameplay loop.
those skeptics, those hardcore skeptics who are just like, until I see
Yeah.
everything or until I install the executable, I don't believe it.
Yeah. Yeah.
We need to
100%.
release a video that showcases that loop.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And I said I wasn't going to hold you too long. I think we're getting close to 2 hours now. But there's one other thing I just wanted to have a chat about quickly, which is the theme of the Illuvials.
Yep.
So everything's like endangered or extinct. Is that like the general theme? And like, how did you come across that? And is there anything else tied into that is being worked on or anything like that?
I think that was Aaron early on. I think
Yeah.
That was Aaron's idea. And Aaron's not artistic, but Aaron's very creative from a story point of view, a
Yeah.
lore point of view. He's the backbone for a lot of the lore side of things. And he might not understand Pokemon, but if Kieran's pushing for him to incorporate lore and backstory, he knows how to bring that out.
Yeah.
And so from my point of view, it was like, how do we make each character and Roger, obviously
Yeah.
Roger's been more influential on the characters than myself.
Those concepts,
Right? Like
dude, Jesus. Amazing.
Roger's an absolute freak. And I'll still happily take credit super, super early on because I worked very heavily with Roger to figure out where to take them. And I was saying to Aaron from the very start, like, we want this to be a semi-stylized game. We
Yeah.
want it not to be photoreal and also not to be Mario.
Yeah.
Find some middle ground where we have that Illuvium look and feel.
Yeah.
And that's what I worked on super early. And that's proof and evidence that if you set the foundations right and you have a good team, you can step back, because there has been probably 25 or 30 Illuvials created where I haven't given any feedback whatsoever at any step of the way,
Yeah.
which is just crazy, right? Like when you a first time studio, and I've never experienced that before, being able to, as an art director, just view it from the fans' perspective.
Yeah.
One of the things that's quite scary is like, by developing this, am I gonna lose that feeling that Pokemon gave me? Am I gonna have to like sacrifice that feeling in order to give it to the community?
Yeah.
Which I'd be willing to do, but I'd also be quite sad about. Like if I got to game release and I saw everyone freaking out about the NFTs and stuff, and I was sitting there going like, I'm fucking over it.
Yeah.
I'd hate that feeling. Like, it'd be heartbreaking for me, and I haven't had that. I get to watch certain things unfold from the team, where Vincent comes up with the concept, Roger refines it with him, the modelers then start adding details that weren't in it, the texture artists take it to another level, at no point in the process am I sitting there going, "No, man, let's go back and let's get it
Yeah.
fitting the style." Aaron's Aaron forced me to make sure there were guidelines on the concept phase, the modeling phase. Each part of the process has proper guidelines, and the artists all struggled at the start. All the modelers on the team took their month or so to adapt to the style because
Yeah.
not many people are used to that semi-stylized look and feel.
Yep.
And I'm really proud of it. I think by the end of it, we're going to have this really vibrant, colorful, semi-stylized look and feel where there's just enough sci-fi mixed in where that's going to give it that Illuvium flavor.
Yep.
There are a lot of fantasy games like that. What was that new game that came out like Kenya or something of the forest or something?
Wasn't that a movie?
Visually, no, what was it like? I think it's called Kenya.
I
I'm
don't
not
know, man.
sure.
I don't do
It's
console
Kenya.
anymore.
It's like Kenya Bridge of Spirits or
Yeah.
something like that. But either way, that game has beautiful environments. We hadn't seen that game when we started Illuvium, right? Like I hadn't seen anything.
Yeah.
And I look at that and we're using it internally as reference for the team, but that's just pure fantasy.
Yeah.
There's no sci-fi element mixed in. So it's like by adding that sci-fi element, and Aaron thought it wasn't going to work. Aaron's like, well, the humans aren't going to work next to the Illuvials. And I was like, just wait, the humans aren't textured yet. When the humans are textured with that stylized,
Yeah. It gives you like
look.
it gives a distinct like I feel like you can look at an alluvial like and even though we're normally looking at them in character leaks like they've got that distinct feel of they're over the top on like designs. Like something that I think about is the penguin Stabin, I think it is the final evolution. But like I just look at that concept and I'm like, this is like the epitome. It's like you take something real and then just turn it up on the gauge about 4 times, and that's what you end up with. Like that penguin with like the ice blades as flippers is it's like. And then like some things like the final evolution of the water buffalo, you know, it's got that distinct, over the top, real, but extended a bit. I can't explain art. I don't know.
All the tier one, and this is just Pokemon, man. At the end of the day, it's just Pokemon.
Yeah.
Pokemon did that so well. Stage 1, it's got to be cute as hell.
But please,
Like-
please, don't make an ice cream and alluvial. When Pokemon did that, it burnt me so hard. Can we like?
Aaron was like, okay, well after stage 1, we can abandon the endangered or semi-extinct,
Yeah.
basis. And I was like, why? Like there are so many animals that we haven't done that still fit into that category where you could easily get out another 50 alluvials
Yeah.
and fill it in. But we've made sure that the stage 1 is super cute. The goal is always to make the next alluvial cuter than the last.
Yeah.
The stage 2, by design, you want it to be a little less like
A bit like adolescent.
hypey.
Yeah.
It's just a bit less hypey so that you find this middle ground where people either want the stage 1 or the stage 3.
Yeah.
And then the middle is for like people wanting to sell 3 of them or whatever to get the third one. But by design, we've done that. Like make stage 1 super relevant and cute. Stage 3, these like demigod, overpowerful creatures.
Yeah.
And then the stage 2, you don't really care as much.
Well, anyway, we've been going a fair while. I said I'd keep you under 2 hours. I don't know. I don't know how long we're actually up to, but I really I really do appreciate you coming on for the chat, dude. Like I said, the work behind the scenes. I've been hanging out for this one because I like, even though I was chatting to you in DMs, I never wanted to actually get on a video call with you until the reveal happened, because it was that little exciting thing that I was just really like. I think the whole community got into it, and I still think it's going to be hard for you to shake the name Von Neumann. But once again, dude, thanks for coming on. The work is amazing, and just can't wait for delivery when it actually comes.
No, well, now that I'm not anonymous anymore, like I've been following your content, Zionic's content, Seaton's. There are a few of you guys who have like religiously covered the project, and that's been one of the things that, like, when you finish an 18-20 hour day, and this isn't just for myself as well, like some of the team members follow your content and the other content creators, it's like a weird feeling, right? Like you're getting that instant satisfaction of seeing people happy about what we're doing. So I think we just got to do more interviews and just discuss it more. The goal for me was to get enough stuff out over the next, say, month or so, where that hype that was captured with the
Yep.
overworld just keeps going to that new level. I'd be
100%.
more than happy not to share single plants anymore in character leaks, but just share the set dress coming together.
Yep.
It comes together quickly, and I think we're at that stage now. So it's
Perfect.
been cool, man. I've been looking forward to having a chat with you.
Yeah,
So.
beautiful. Thanks for coming, dude. Really appreciate it. Anyway, guys, that is going to be it for this one. Thanks for watching. Hope you have an awesome day, and we'll look forward to seeing the next one. Cheers.
Thank you.